Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Brownstone's Best Business Review. I'm Paulette. I'm a part of Brownstone Worldwide. You're in the Brownstone Worldwide studios for today's special edition of Brownstone's Best Business Review. Today, we've got an amazing individual that's going to be coming to hang out with us today. And we're excited because she is the principal designer of Nikki Klugh Design Group. Now, she prides herself on helping you, the client, the customer, have the perfect sacred space. And she wants you to feel nurtured and loved and happy in the space that she helps you to design. I am so excited and honored to have in our space here in the Brownstone one of our new neighbors, Nikki Klugh of Nikki Klugh Design Group. Welcome.
Hello, Paulette. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I am so happy that you were able to take time out of your ridiculously busy schedule to come and hang out with us here in the Brownstone. So thank you so much for that. I'm excited to have you here. So I called you the principal designer of Nikki Klugh Design, and I want to start there because when we say designer, are we designing entire homes? When we say we're the principal designer, are we saying you're the person that sits down with that client initially? How does that work when we're talking about designing and being that principal designer?
Yes. So we do have a team. We have a team of 3 designers and a support staff, an amazing team. And I, along with Jess and Lisa, we design homes anywhere from a few thousand square feet to 10, 12,000 square feet. We've done commercial spaces. We've done single rooms. It just depends on the project needs. And we travel with our work. So we have clients in LA, DC, San Diego, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, and here in Omaha, Nebraska. So it has been quite a journey, built a team. And that all started because my husband was in the U.S. Navy. So we've lived at these cities, and that caused the need to build out this team to support me in my work.
Oh, that's amazing. So first of all, thank you for your husband's service to this country. And thank you for traveling along and being a part of that. But I have a question, because now you've sparked a big question for me. In the middle of the travel with your husband in the military, you built a business.
I did.
I'm curious.
Yes, it was quite the journey. We have 4 sons, grown sons now, but it was a passion and a desire that I had. I was like, okay, how can this go with me to the different, duty stations that I know will come? And it happened organically. It was serendipitous that I was able to build this tribe of designers, because not only do we have the 2 designers on staff with us, but we also have designers that are younger in their walk, right? They want mentorship. They're able to help and be boots on the ground in all those cities that we serve in. So that came because of my desire to want to give back. When I first started my career, I tried to find a mentor, someone that would just show me the ropes, show me behind the scenes. Like, do I really need this account? Should I get that account? What contractors can I trust? What's the process? What are best practices? Literally no one of any race, of any level in the business have to support me. And so I just made that promise to myself and to future designers that I would always give back. And that's, again, how I built this amazing team, just by accident, just by wanting to give back. And then when I had needs, they were like, sure, of course, I would love to see that on the ground, the behind the scenes, the things that I was searching for when I first started my career.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're giving back and helping those come along who have that desire and the need to design. And so one of the things that I think every time I hear sacred spaces, and I think about that particular phrase in and of itself, it reminds me of peace, tranquility, renewal. Am I close?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when you came up with this phrase and you said, did it just, as you stated before, serendipitous? Was it something that you had been doing and it finally it birthed its own name? How did that come?
That came about also part of my journey in discovering who I was as a designer, who I wanted to serve. One of my, the first job that I had, the only job that I had, was 2 years working for a designer in Palo Alto, California. And she had been working on a project for 2 years previous to me joining her. And we built, the house, there was some tragedy there. The original structure had burned. And so she had to start all over. So the project did take longer than it should have. But it was certain clients that were very, could be unpleasant to work with. I mean, out there, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I joined this, profession. I joined this career field. I trained for this. I've been dreaming of this, but these aren't the kind of people I want to serve. I have been blessed to find those wealthy individuals that are kind and polite and easy and love working with them. But this first large project was a little bit of a nightmare.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, who are my people? Where do I go? What do they value? And so for me, it was more about, keeping up with the Joneses or doing things to posture or present yourself a certain way to people. It was really about the soul. How do you nurture your soul? How do you nurture your family dynamic? How can you create a space that everyone can flourish in? And not just about the glitz and the glam and the showy part, because that's, in evaluating this project, I could see, their reasonings for doing this is not the same reason I do this as a career. And so just wanted to be in alignment with those people that I want to serve. And sacred, while it gives off an air of religiosity or it can be, it really is set aside for a specific purpose. And that's what we do in our work, so that it can nurture and feed the soul and the people that live there.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that, because I've never, until we met, heard anyone talk about design in that way, and how it nurtures you and how it's a part of who you are. And so that brings up another question. When you are working with clients, do you have that opportunity to sit down with them and get to know them first and find out their likes and their dislikes, or maybe if they like peanut butter and jelly as opposed to ham, right? Does it get that deep?
We find out all kinds of things on purpose for our clients, because I say we become your new best friends. We really want to understand how you operate in your space, the flow, the traffic flow, the family dynamics, so that we can create something that supports that. There are a few design tricks and standards that I bring to the table every time. Speaking of table, like a round table conversation. And if that's what you're looking for in your family, more conversation with your children, with your spouse, with the residents of your home, then yes, a round table wherever we can fit one in is going to be the prescription for that. So we're looking at, how you operate in your bedroom, in your bathroom, in your closet. Like really are understanding your daily situation and how we can support that better. Okay. I love that. And I say that, and I don't just say that because it's to be said. It's because in this world of, I want it right now. I want it the way I want it, how I want it, and you're going to do it the way I say do it. You're in a space where you get to know people in that arena. So that means you're spending time with people. That's number one. And then number two, when I'm hearing you say this and understanding if they need a round table or how the home flows and how people are in and out, that means that you also have a feel of who they are, not just what you hear them say, but their vibe, their energy, their faith, their likes, their dislikes, all of the things. Their aspirations, what they value. Again, dynamics between people that there is important, because me raising 4 teenage boys, that change from one home to the next, and the priorities and sometimes the boundaries would change. And So we do see some of that, and we see it early on. We
Mm-hmm.
probe and we ask and we sit and we observe and
Wow.
we pick up a lot of things. And we start off with a questionnaire, though. We start off a
I
little
see.
lighthearted with,
Mm-hmm.
what colors we pull apart, we deconstruct design in a way that people can answer a simple yes or no question. Do you like this
Yeah.
color? Yes or no,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we go through colors and metal tones and wood, stain,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
and images of different design styles. And then
Okay.
we start going a little bit deeper. And then we'll say, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
take a look at your closet. And I'll look at
Mm-hmm.
the fashions, like what's the newest trends? Like what are they,
Mm-hmm.
you know, drawn to? What are they like? What are the things that they value? Is it
Mm-hmm.
jewelry? Is it perfume? Is it
Mm-hmm.
dresses? I'm getting a sense of who they are through their
Yeah.
fashion.
Yeah.
And then we talk about travel. We talk about goals for the family, individual goals. We really, again, we really endeavor to get to know our clients on a
I
really deep
love that.
level so that we can create a space that's ideal for them.
I
So,
love that. That is amazing. And isn't that exciting for you though?
I love people. I mean, I
Yeah.
really, again, I feel like all our past clients, their clients for life.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I just really, like, I fall in love with my clients. I literally do. And
Mm.
I have tried to push back,
Right.
especially when it comes to corporate. And that's why we find ourselves working more in smaller boutique corporate settings. But I really do have a passion and desire to help them be the best people that they can be. And that
Okay.
develops a deep sense of love and passion for them.
Okay. That is amazing. And so when you are designing and doing all this stuff, because now I'm picturing you packing your bags and moving on to the next city to support a client. You're a mom of 4 boys. You're married. You and your husband have this, I'm sure, amazing communicative relationship. And you're away from your family for days at a time, maybe longer. How did you balance all of that and still build the business?
Yeah. So that was definitely a journey in of itself. I would say I started traveling about 8 years ago.
Ah.
So the first, 10, 12 years of my
Mhm.
company was based in Palo Alto, California, and then
Mhm.
down in San Diego.
Mhm.
Then we would have clients that we would consult with virtually in
Okay.
Houston and DC because again those are
Okay.
places that we
Uh-huh.
live.
Okay.
But it was the Zeta House. It was the headquarters, the international headquarters for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated,
Okay.
Washington D.C. that developed that muscle of traveling to a job
Mhm.
site.
Mhm.
And in that 2 years that myself and a team of 4 other designers, my sorority sisters,
Mhm.
in that time frame, we learned how to navigate project management systems of larger companies, right? How to
Okay.
navigate that, find the
Mhm.
information needed, make extensive lists of agendas and to-dos and
Yeah.
checklists of what needed to happen while we were on that job site. And it took
Mhm.
5 visits to do 13,000 square feet of that home.
Right. That's
And it was that really developed that muscle for me of
Mhm.
design virtually. And
Mhm.
then the pandemic hit. So it was like,
Mm.
okay, I was ahead of the curveball. Thank goodness I was able to continue working. And it was construction was deemed an essential, need. And so I was
Yeah.
traveling during the pandemic as well to
Mhm.
job sites. And so what we developed and discovered is that it takes 3 solid visits. The first visit, the initial
Uh-huh.
consultation, and then of course it
Yeah.
depends on the scope of work. So
Yeah.
a
Yep.
large size project where we're doing a whole home is the
Mhm.
initial consultation. We're walking the home, we're documenting, we're taking a peek in the closet,
Right.
we're
Yeah.
doing things about our clients. So we usually spend a whole day, if not 2, depends on the need, because we might get a chance to do a little shopping too. If we're doing a kitchen or bath, I'll take them to a
Uh-huh.
show. And so in those cases, that one visit is, what prepares us to start our design process.
Right.
We have Zoom calls in between. We have a presentation later down
Mhm.
the line once we have all the designs completed, and then the final install. So those are the 3 in-person meetings that we'll have with the client
Wow.
in a long distance situation.
So this almost sounds like, so I'm listening to you and I'm going, that sounds fun. That sounds amazing. I would be probably high stressed because, you know, you're trying to make sure that your client you're getting everything that your client said that they desired, and you want to wow them during that presentation, right? But then you're saying you love this and it's exciting for you, and I can tell that it is by how you're lighting up when you're talking about it. So now, have you ever had a client say, no, that's not going to work?
Not to the whole presentation, maybe to one or two little things. But again, we're showing them things along the way, and we're talking about things. We're showing concepts. We're showing color palettes and textures, and so we've been communicating verbally as well as visually with clients along the way before the big presentation, because that is a really elaborate, you know, process. We have renderings if, you know, the job requires it. We have, of course, the samples of fabrics and woods and metals. So yes, it is a very elaborate process. I would say though that I've been prepared. You know how sometimes you look back, you're like, oh wow, that's what that was for.
That's what that was for. I love that.
Why did, you know, why it's the little practices, the little things that prepare you for advancement. And I would say it was the matter, you know, it was me in college, the matter of waiting tables and consolidating. Like that was a lesson that I picked up working at Houston's restaurant on Kirby in Houston, Texas. AKA Hillstone, someone might know it by Hillstone. And they were very, very particular with wait staff on how we would serve clients, customers. Well, some people had call clients. I had one or two where they would come in and ask for our station. That was like a better if you had, you know, people that wanted to sit where you were serving that night. And so just giving great customer service and thinking ahead and anticipating needs. Those are all lessons that I learned in those 3 years of working as a waitress in college. And so I look back and I'm like, okay, that's how I can visit 3 clients in one trip, which I just did. Here we go. We did 3 photo shoots, 2 new clients, 1 past client, all in the span of 4.5 days. And it's a whirlwind, and I'm thriving and I'm wired the whole time. But then I give myself periods of rest. So I've been resting over the long Thanksgiving weekend.
Of course you have.
That was, you know, that was a lot to do in a few days, but it needed to be done. I enjoyed doing it. And I come home and my family's here and we have a great Thanksgiving dinner together. So, and then rest of the
Of course. And I love to hear that you're taking time out for yourself, because honestly, that was one of the next questions. Where do you find the time for Nikki in everything that you're doing, right? So like you're saying 4 days of getting all of this done. So of course you've got to have an amazing team that's working behind the scenes for you, handling the things that need to be handled while you're in the forefront, right? And so question number 1, before we get to how does Nikki take care of Nikki, how did you, or when did you decide, I can't do this by myself? These are for our entrepreneurs out there. And when did you realize I needed help?
Yes. It came slowly. It came gradually because I didn't trust myself for the longest time. The first time that I let someone in that was interested in the field, that said, oh, I want to learn how to, you know, I'm interested. I want to learn what you do, how you do it. I was still learning myself, to be honest. I had worked for the other designer for 2 years. Then my first client introduced me to all her friends. And so I went from job to job to job, but each job I found to be a little different because art. But I still didn't have like a basic outline of how I needed to do things and when I needed to do things. I was developing that as I went along. Again, remember, nobody was teaching me the ropes. I had to figure out myself. And I accepted the help. I said, okay, here's your task. Here's what I need your help with. I want you to take this desk. It was an old desk. Mary Richards was my first client. And she had this really special desk that someone had given her. It was starting, and she wanted it on her patio. It had already started kind of falling apart. So we were going to tighten up some of the joints and then do a lacquer over the whole thing so that it could sit outside and hold a flower pot, because that's what we decided. It would would be precious, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then there was this window pane that she
Yeah.
had from her old home.
Yeah.
And we decided to turn that into a mirror, and we were going to do a crackled finish on this mirror.
Mm.
So I handed these two items with verbal instructions to the young lady that wanted to help me, and she reversed the instructions. She lacquered the window
Oh.
and crackled finished with paint the little desk
Oh.
that I had. And it was like, oh my God, what just happened
Uh-huh.
here? And that set me up for nope, I can do it all by myself. I mean, do it right. Want it done right. You got to do it yourself.
Yep.
That was not the lesson I should have taken away.
Yeah.
The lesson
Yeah.
I should have taken away is to write the instructions, have them repeat back the instructions. Check
Right. Absolutely.
Expect what you inspect. That should have been the lesson. But the lesson I heard was no one can do it as well as you can.
Mm.
It took years and years and years for me to get to the point of, working up, late up at night until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on the laptop all the time, taking calls at football games.
Yeah.
And my children were like, Mom, Mom, Mom.
Wow.
And so it got to be a point where, I started this so I can work around my family, but this is overtaking all of the things that I wanted to be available for, these young boys and these teenage, preteens at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so met Lisa Gant, who is part of our team now 15 years ago. And she's herself as my mentee. She was like, you're going to be my mentor. And I was like, okay. And so she broke through my shell and proved herself to be able to carry out instructions. And I learned the lesson of writing down instructions, step A through Z.
Love it.
Don't skip, X and G and, Q in the middle, write down all the steps to make sure that everyone is understanding the things that are important to me. Now, some things they need to do on their own in their own way, and that's fine. Learn to let go of the reins in that way. But yes, leading a team was really hard for me. To trust again. Yeah.
Right. And
trust myself as well as trust others.
And that was the other thing before we get to that next question, because it's still hanging in my head, because you are a busy woman, right? You've got all of this stuff that's happening, but to learn how to trust yourself, to allow other people to help to run the business that you built.
Yeah.
And I know that, in some places, as this is Brownstone's Best Business Review, one of the things that we really like to talk about here during this time is helping other people understand that a lot of times, if not all, we are the bottlenecks, right? And we're the reasons why things aren't moving, and how you had to open up and say, all right, there are some things that I've got to relinquish because, like you said, the boys were at games and you were on your phone, or, those kinds of things. And those are things that are really, really, really important for our listeners, viewers, subscribers, to hear you say, knowing that you've built this successful business, but you couldn't have done it by yourself, but you had to trust yourself enough to know, okay, that person's good. Maybe this person doesn't know how to follow direction very well. I need to start over. And so these were all lessons compounded upon one lesson after another, is what I'm hearing you say, along this journey of entrepreneurship that you're on, which really, the way that you're talking, I don't know if you realize this, you're in a consistent and constant lesson every single moment of your business.
Yeah. Definitely. Yes, we're continually learning and improving. As new situations arise, as corporate partnerships form, there's just always something new. There's newness, and so while I do my best to go in prepared and troubleshoot and anticipate, risk management, there's going to be situations where I never saw that coming. And it's most often deals with people. Most often is an emotional intelligence type of exercise that I have got to manage and deal with. Because we can predict some of the technical things, like almost all of the technical things. We can see it. It's there on paper, it's in plans,
Yeah.
It's predictable. But what's not predictable are COVID,
Mm.
the traumatic effect on us as a nation, as a globe, like the
Yeah.
whole, you know,
Yeah.
learning when to give grace and then when
Yeah.
to say, okay, this isn't working. That was really
Yeah.
hard to do, to let someone go in the middle of COVID. And it's like, okay, I know that she's had a hard time. I know that she's lost family members. We have given time off. We
Mm.
have tools and retrain, we distribute,
Mm.
responsibilities, but this still isn't working. That was really, really hard to do.
Mm.
But the health of the business and the health of
Yeah.
the team relied on me making those hard decisions and
Mm.
choices. So,
Yeah.
yes, a lot of the unpredictable nature
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
is people. We
Yeah.
people are
Right.
unpredictable. And our
Absolutely.
responses to challenges and difficulties.
Absolutely. And there's a lesson everywhere you turn, it sounds like. And that can definitely be said for anything. And so, in all of the busyness that we've talked about, meeting with clients and taking care of sons and husbands and taking care of your household and your staff, how do you take time to renew and revive Nikki Klugh?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. And I am constantly reevaluating what's
Yeah.
working, what's not working.
Mhm.
Some of my creature comforts are massages and
Mm.
getting my hair done.
Okay.
Simple things, but some of
Yeah.
my more extravagant endeavors are
Mm.
travel. I love to travel.
Okay.
Hence, why serving clients in different cities is not a bother to me. I
Hmm.
love exploring and seeing new things.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd say travel. That's number one thing. That's number one.
Hmm.
And I make time for it. I plan it out. I block it out in the calendar. I'm looking at 2024. What is 2024 going to look like? What
Hmm.
places will I travel to? Where do I want to travel? Where do I need to travel?
Hmm.
So when I say I'm constantly reevaluating, I'm looking at what patterns I formed that may not be
Hmm.
working for me anymore.
Hmm.
Does the every other week massage still, do I still get the same results that I did before? And so now I've added in acupuncture to that rotation. And
Really?
yeah. So I'm always open to new things and
Okay.
deciding what's best for me now.
Okay. I love that. Listen, let me take notes of that. What works and what doesn't. I'm just going to replay this later because this was really good. And this is a lesson for me. Every time I'm interviewing someone, I always try to learn something. And there are two other questions that I do have for you. But since we are here as entrepreneurs who listen and watch, would you say that there is a time and a space that you have to put yourself first so that you can make better decisions for the business?
Yeah. Absolutely, but it's hard to do. So the easy answer is yes, absolutely, you must. Um, but as owners and operators, sometimes we feel like if we don't do this, it won't get done,
Yeah.
and we will stay up till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Mm,
We'll put
mm,
the kids in bed and then take a second shift on our business, right?
mhm.
Um, and I think you can do that, but only for so long.
Yeah.
It came a point where I was literally burnt out. I
Mm,
just, we grew really fast during the pandemic, especially.
mhm.
There was a transition time when we moved from San Diego to Omaha. But the pandemic, just fortified everything we as designers had been saying, which is your
Mhm.
home is special. It should nurture
Yes.
you. It should represent who you are. It should,
Yeah.
be a place of respite. It should
Yeah.
also provide you some inspiration and energy.
Yeah.
Like all, lessons that we've been preaching.
Hmm.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
people are like, oh, I think they're right. Like I feel
Yeah.
totally bummed out being stuck in this,
Hmm.
uninspiring space of mine.
Right.
And so we were on demand
Hmm.
and totally maxed out to like
Hmm.
I grew my team from 6 strong to 11. Like we added 5 new people. We've since
Mm. Wow.
a little bit. A couple of people transitioned to other things, and we said, okay, do we really need to replace that person?
Yeah.
So, anywho, we've expanded and contracted over these
Yeah.
last 4 years, and have really hit a wall. And I was like, you know what? If I'm not healthy and well, this business is healthy and well.
Right.
So let's take care of me. And that's when I put my foot down and put some real hard boundaries in place. Got a second phone number. My phone stays in the drawer in my office. You know, I work really hard to not take my laptop to bed. I do every once in a while still.
Yeah. Right.
We all know that it's an extreme circumstance if I'm working in bed, right? But yeah, a lot of really good boundaries got put in place, and that was through our really busy season during COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is good because that burnout is real. I have felt it. And the idea that you've taken the time to, number one, take care of you so that it can impact the business in a positive way is so good. And I think more people need to hear that, because we constantly hear, go, the hustle culture. We got to do it this way. We have to make sure that we're constantly showing everybody on social media in the world that we're doing all the things. And you're saying, well, maybe so. However, take some time.
You know, we're kind of the pendulum swings, right? Because I've also seen the soft life, you know, coming to play a lot later.
What is that? Right. Yeah.
Well, that can happen, and that's our goal to ease up a little and enjoy life more. But there is still a period of sowing, you know, that has to happen.
Absolutely.
Nothing's gonna, sprout overnight.
Absolutely.
Garner into the garden, right?
Yes.
But I think, youth and wisdom plays into that a little bit. When you're young, 10 years ago, I could do things that I just cannot do now.
Right. Exactly.
And thank goodness I decided will not try an attempt.
I love that.
Anymore.
I love it.
But yes, maturity, I think, definitely plays a part in it. Priorities with your family has to take, you have to take that into account. For me, that's part of why I decided to do a home-based business. Was, and not go seek a 9-to-5, was so that I could work around my son. So I started reminding myself, but also proselytizing on Facebook and social, #family is everything. Many of those posts were me reminding myself of why the pathway that I did, and saying, this is my priority. My ambition is wild. I see things that I still have more to accomplish. However, when my teenage sons call me and they need me, I need to be ready and aware.
That's right. Yeah.
So, it has, again, it's a personal journey, just like anything. It's not going to be the same for others, but taking care of yourself and making yourself a priority. For me, travel is that, because I can get away from it all. I can see from a bird's eye view and see how the business is running. Can they really operate without me? Like, if I'm not in my business, do I still get taken care of? Do phone calls still, get returned? Are the wheels still working? And that was my best of, did I build a solid team? Do I have a business, or do I have a job? And so those breaks and again, travel for me puts distance between me and the operations and the day-to-day, and just helps me say, yes, this is working. This part isn't working.
I love it.
But also vision and clarity of our current path and what's to come.
I love it. And this is so good. And I would love to sit here and talk to you and just like, okay, sit at your feet and learn more. But I know that because you're talking so much truth, even to me right now, with what we're building here. And so, curious and quick question for you. The last 2 questions of the evening, because you're a busy woman and I don't want to keep you from your lovely break. Listen, I am curious. We have folks who have seen your work, that work in this office, and they are blown away. They are floored. So the question that I have is, how does one, number one, create their own sacred space? And how do we find time and space to work with Nikki Klugh Designs?
Oh, thank you. That's a great tee up. Well, so the process that we take our clients down is really understanding who they are. Like, what are their priorities? What is it that they value? We take them through a couple of personality tests too. I don't know if you do that. So we have a sensory quiz. That's something that we developed in-house at Nikki Klugh Design Group. But then we also do the 5 love languages. You know, how do you experience love? But we do the modality of learning. Are you a kinetic learner, or are you an auditory learner? And so we like to put that in connection with the work that we do, so that we get to learn the bents, like the natural tendencies of the people that we're serving. And so again, in our conversations about what's important, what's their life like, what are their goals, we're getting to learn the person. So I would encourage everyone, do that for themselves. Like, we don't do that, right? Unless we're business planning, unless we're doing our quarterly plan. Sometimes we don't just check in with ourselves. Like, something that was important to you 2 years ago might not be important to you anymore. And so pay attention to what you're valuing, how you want your home to feel. That's a really important question. If you value entertaining and hosting and having small groups of friends or family around, if that's something, the familiar connection and the community connection in your home, if that's something that's important to you, how do you want people to feel when they walk in? What do you want them to experience? Is it Big Mama's home? You know, girlfriend that's a world traveler. Like, you want people to experience when they walk into your home. And so your values, your purpose, your senses, how do you experience the world? Are you a texture person? Do you like deep, plush, cushy things? Is that a luxurious element for you? Or do you like really clean and smooth surfaces with little texture? So these are some of the things that in our quizzes and our conversations, we're learning about our clients, so that we can develop spaces that are ideal and unique to each individual.
I dig
that. So designing to your senses, I would say, would be the second thing. First, what do you want to create in your space? And then how do you create that through your senses? Are you a person that smells things before you eat them? That's on our list.
Right. Is that that's the thing.
People smell their food before they put it in their mouth, right? So they're like experiencing through smell first. Does art on the wall, if it's crooked, are you holding yourself back to not straighten it out if you're in someone else's place, right? Are you a visual type A person? So learning those things, that how you experience the world, and incorporating elements that speak to that feeling that you're wanting to create, that's how we create sacred spaces.
I love that.
Space. So a bedroom is going to serve you differently, obviously, than a kitchen would. And so the feeling and the vibe in those two spaces are going to be completely different. But drilling down to the purpose, is it multi-purpose, or is it solely for resting? Does that mean that there's no TV there, or do you enjoy watching TV with your spouse in bed on a Sunday, Saturday morning? So those are the questions that we're asking as we're developing these spaces.
That is beautiful. See, I just opened up the kitchen and I put a dining room table in there, and you're gonna make me later on today, when I leave the office, say to myself, okay, now I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna reevaluate every room in this house. So thank you for that. So for those of you all who are listening and who are watching and listening on Cityscape Radio, you heard it first. You got this expertise. This was a nugget for the free. There will be no more of that, because you will have to get in touch with Nikki Klugh at NikkiKlughDesign.com when you want to have that time to speak with someone and get some clarity on what it is that you want for your home and your office. Now, final question. What is the good, the bad, and the ugly
of
entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Ooh, oh my gosh, there's so many, right? It's so many.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, for me personally, it wasn't quitting a 9 to 5. It was, creating something around my family life and our schedule
mm,
and our busyness with the 4 sons and all the
yeah.
sports.
Yeah.
It's still, sometimes competing interests.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as easy as it looks. It never
Mm-mm.
is.
Yeah.
And so staying true to the purpose and the goal. And those first few years, I'd say first 8 years,
Yeah.
it's still about learning the business and learning my
Mhm.
balance and being
Mhm.
a good mom, but still
Mhm.
doing good work. And
Yeah.
so when we started growing, that, my time came where
Yeah.
the sons are out of the house, everyone's self-sufficient. Now I feel like it's my time, right? My
I
time
love
to
it.
expand and to grow
Yeah.
as a leader, as a business
Mhm.
owner. And so that's the good and the bad, right? It's not
Yeah. Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
because sometimes we have to throttle ourselves, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, just depends on your personal goals. The ugly.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mm.
I think the ugly in my business is when people don't take ownership. So
Mm.
a contractor doesn't admit to breaking the slab,
Mm. Okay.
doesn't want to pay for a new slab.
Mm.
A team member forgetting something and afraid to come forward and say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot that." And
Yeah.
that was a good lesson for me to learn because I haven't given them the freedom to make mistakes, right?
Mm.
That was a hard one. That
Yeah.
can um, and then there are still people that slip through the cracks that come to
Yeah.
us and aren't honest people. And I just
Mhm.
can't, it's unfathomable to me because
Right.
tend to think that people are like you, and if you're honest,
Yeah.
other people will be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that I fired a few clients for that reason.
Mm.
So that
Good
can
for
be,
you.
but
Yeah.
I try to keep it. I do. I don't just try. I keep it professional, but try
Good
to
for
keep
you.
it
Yeah.
calm
Uh-huh.
and even grounding
Mm.
space so that we can all leave happy and whole. But yeah, that can be the ugly side of things.
Yeah. And still, here you are, CEO and founder of Nikki Klugh Design. You guys, if you want more information about how to reach out to this amazing designer, you can head over to nikkiklughdesign.com. And of course, you can find her on social media, 2 different places, you guys, at Nikki Klugh Design Group or at Nikki Klugh Design. Listen, you guys, I'm going to put this information out for you all a little bit later so you'll be able to find it. I'm going to put it all over the place so that you don't forget how to get in touch with this amazing, beautiful. Listen, when I tell you that your work, let's put up one of the photos. This is beautiful. I just need you all to feel this. How many people could you fit in that space?
That was for a family, a large family, 3 children, and all of their sports teammates. We
Wow.
come at home and hang out together after games.
That is
Dad was a
amazing.
baseball dad. He was a coach.
Like,
Yeah.
just the fact that you're standing there like, yeah, this is me, and it's so amazing that God has given all of us different gifts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yours is to help people to have their sacred space.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to thank Nikki Klugh from Nikki Klugh Design Group for hanging out with us today here on Brownstone's Best Business Review. For more information, you can head over to brownstoneworldwide.com. She's going to be hanging out with us next year, giving you guys some design tips for 2024. So you don't want to miss that. Get excited because we are. And once again, don't forget, you can hang out with Nikki Klugh at nikkiklughdesign.com for more information about how you can work directly with her and her amazing team, and also on all things social media, Nikki Klugh Design Group and Nikki Klugh Design. Well, without further ado, is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience before we wrap up this interview?
No, just gosh, being an entrepreneur definitely is is a joy and can be challenging. So be kind to each other. That's all I have.
Absolutely. I love that. Be kind to each other. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Nikki Klugh, if you can stick around for a few moments, we're going to get out of here and let you guys get back to your busy day. We love having you here in the Brownstone. Continue to hang out with us all throughout your day on cityscaperadio.com, Cityscape, the app, and also Brownstone Worldwide. And don't forget Brownstone Living magazine. Listen, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you around.